Shaquille, take us back to a much younger Shaquille, way before Better Call Saul, way before Netflix.
Well, honestly, I was actually born and raised on an island in the Caribbean called St. Lucia. And
Oh, really?
yeah, I came to the US at a younger age, which was Houston, Texas. And I just spontaneously moved to Colorado one year. Like, I told my mom the next day, hey, I'm going to go try something new. And I just wanted a new location, new people around me, new environment. And so I honestly just had a few bags packed and went to Colorado the next day without pretty much any money. And so I actually slept in my car in Walmart parking lots for a little bit.
Uh,
And I would actually wake up every day and go on Craigslist. On Craigslist, there's gigs every single day. You could do gigs for cash, whether it's painting, fencing, moving jobs, eviction. I've had every job you can imagine. And so through that, eventually I got into the oil field. And once I got into the oil field, then everything was pretty much stable for a good while. And then I stayed in Broomfield, Colorado for the good remainder of the time. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I honestly, Colorado had nothing to do with acting. I just wanted something new, and luckily, the community in Colorado really was able to connect me to a lot of different people as far as getting an agent in New Mexico, getting an agent in Utah and Colorado, and just working my way through. And through those agents, I've been able to get bigger and bigger auditions, which led me to Better Call Saul.
oh my goodness! Wow. I mean, man, I'm speechless. I moved out to Colorado in 2013 just to move my family out of Detroit, just to change the scenery. And it was a Colorado extras casting or something with Amanda Ward. She would pay people just to be like in commercials. That's as far as I knew. But you got a beautiful story, man. It's just somebody investing in themselves, taking a chance, and maximizing on opportunities and potential. Now, how did Better Call Saul come about, Shaquille?
Um, so as an actor, what typically happens is you have an agent in most likely an agent per state, unless it's in a big market like California where you could have a commercial agent, you could have a theatrical agent, you could have a model. But it just, but like in New Mexico, that's where one of my agents is. I'm with Mitchell and Associates, and Carissa Mitchell is my agent over there. And so what typically happens is the process is the agent submits you for a project, and the casting director decides, hey, do we want this guy to audition? So after my agent submitted me, then she sends me the audition because the casting director wanted me to audition for it. So I auditioned roughly like 3 times in that month for Better Call Saul. And the first audition, it actually went pretty good. I ended up getting a call back for that, so that was nice. And the last two, it was interesting because the last two I ended up having 2 in a week. So one was for a role where I was just not saying anything in the court, and the second one was for the liquor store cashier.
Okay.
And so yeah, and so the liquor store cashier was what it was, and I was happy to get that one. It was definitely a blessing and a step up in this acting journey because I've done a lot, man. I've done short films, documentaries, feature films, music videos, the whole nine in this time, and being able to step into the TV network, it really meant a lot, man.
Man, this is the year of the Mathurin because there's a young guy. I believe he played at I think Arizona, either
Yeah.
Arizona or Kansas. He got drafted in the NBA this summer. So I'm sure you guys are not related, but either way, that name is really starting to take off, brother.
No, you're right. It's funny because there's actually Mathurins like basically through France, also Haiti. There's a lot of Mathurins in Haiti apparently. And funny enough, I was at a friend's baby shower and another Mathurin popped up. She's like, "We're not. I don't think we're related," because she said she's from Haiti. And it's funny because like I have family all over the world because like from the island, you basically choose where you want to go next. So I have family in London, you know, I have family in Canada, just everywhere, man. And it's very interesting you say that because the second that happened with the basketball player, everybody's like, "Hey, Shaq, do you know that guy?" I'm like, "Nah, no relation."
Oh man, you know it's this world we live in, man. Like where there's so much mobility. I tell some of the youth that I work with, like it's a big world out there. Expand. Like it's okay to venture out the hood. You don't have to spend your whole lifetime in the same neighborhoods. Growing up in Detroit, a lot of guys from middle school still stay on the same blocks. So having guys like you on the show is definitely motivational. It's informational and inspirational as well. That's kind of the three main pieces of my youth mentorship podcast, specifically for youth of color, to inform, motivate, and inspire. Now, as far as being on a set, I've had a young lady. She's a stunt double, and she had said that the gentleman, I think his name is Steve Coulter, the gentleman that played Luke Cage, is like the most athletic actor that she's ever worked with. Now, for you, who are some of the actors on stage when you were filming for Better Call Saul that really stood out as far as they had like a special talent or they really stood out?
I would have to say Bob Odenkirk. And the reason why is, man, that guy is amazing. He's very down to earth. And it's funny, I didn't even start talking to him. You know, he's an interesting guy. In between takes, sometimes he would ride a bike, and it's like one of those stationary bikes that, and then he has this little headset on, one of those Walkman, and it's funny because I was just scrolling on my phone. He's like, "Hey, is the Wi-Fi working for you? Because I could set that up. You know, I got to make sure y'all are good." So he was. I mean, the vibe was awesome with him, and on and off set, we would just keep talking and like his life story, the things he's been through, the guy he is. I mean, that really meant a lot to me because throughout the day, he would just tell me things about it and how he got here with him and his comedy and things in that nature. And that's an experience I will cherish for the rest of my life. You know, Giancarlo Esposito, he was actually my director for the episode, and
Oh, really? He directs?
well, see what typically happens with most TV shows, the series regular, typically if they want to direct, they'll shadow the director for a few episodes, and then they may direct one episode or another episode, whatever the case is. So that's the same thing with him. And Bob, he was telling me he never actually wanted to direct because there's so much going on, and it is, man, it is. It's like you start your morning off, you do the makeup, you do the wardrobe. They ask you, hey, what do you want to eat? I mean, there's everything you can imagine to eat there. There's literally like probably like 7, 8 different booths of guys just sitting there ready to cook whatever you want. And I
Oh
mean,
my goodness.
it's crazy. It's crazy. But like just looking at that aspect of how much it takes to just do one single scene or even one episode, you think of it like this is hundreds and thousands of dollars that's running an hour just to go ahead and get this knocked out, you know? So it's huge.
Wow. And for you, how many like roughly how many pages like is in your script? How does that look like from the outside looking in?
So typically there's different levels to it. So like a co-star typically is in one scene. And so I may have a few lines, whatever the case is. So like originally, like mine was like 6 lines, 5 lines, something in that nature. And so for just me, that's all I get. They don't send you the full thing. They literally just stick it to wherever you're at in that scene. But then it gets to the guest star. The guest star is in multiple scenes in one episode. So that's on another level. Then there's, guest star recurring, where you could be in multiple episodes in multiple scenes. So it's a lot of different levels. And then there's recurring, where you're just in multiple episodes going on. And then there's series regular, where you're pretty much, yeah, you're on the top of it, where, hey, what's going on? We see you each episode, you know? But yeah, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, you work your way up. So let's say you do three co-stars, you want to eventually start getting to your guest star and then recurring. But some people just jump. It's not necessarily always, oh yeah, you have to do this certain many co-stars and you get to that. Sometimes people only do one co-star and it's like, oh, there's a series regular.
And as you're saying, as I think I said the same thing with the professional stunt woman, Jennifer Aniston. She's a mainstay now, but the first movie I ever seen Jennifer Aniston in was Leprechaun, which was kind of like a low budget horror movie from way way back in the day. And now she's Jennifer Aniston. So um, now as far as obviously you came from all the way from the islands and now you're on a Netflix hit. What kind of advice would you have for young aspiring actors that are not from New York or not from LA?
I'd say the biggest thing is people get so stuck on, oh, I need to be able to get into the industry any way I can. And there's lots of scams out there, which is a sad part. So like there's different companies out there that may say, hey, go ahead and give me $2,000 a month for let's say 24 months. And y'all do like a $10,000 down payment, whatever the case is, and we'll make your child a star. And it never happens. Typically what they do, they may pay legit agents and things like that to do maybe a few of these camps or whatever the case is, where it's 24 of them out there. But none of that ever matters. And it's I say less than 1% people actually ever get signed from things like that, because you got to think, when you just start acting, you know nothing about acting. As somebody that's just walking into the industry, nobody's gonna sign a random person just, oh yeah, hey, I want to be a star. You don't have no real, you don't have a headshot. You ain't got nothing to show for you being an actor other than saying you want to be an actor.
Uh,
And so there's lots of companies that go out there and just strictly take people's money. And that's one thing you want to be careful with. Anybody that's out there planning on being an actor, make sure you don't ever pay a dime to an agent, unless maybe it's something small like a website fee or